What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is July 13th, 2022. I am JD from New York, as always, coming to you from the OTS Beer Garden. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on your Wednesday afternoons, wherever you may be. I will be live tonight, very much live tonight, for AEW Dynamite Night 1 of Fyter Fest. It will be Jesse and I live tonight on YouTube with the AEW Dynamite post show, so make sure you guys are there with your cold beverages, getting ready for what looks to be an absolutely loaded card for All Elite Wrestling. We'll be live around 10:20 tonight, so make sure you guys are there to join in on all the festivities. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys go check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. Episode 435 of the podcast, Monday Night Raw, NXT last night. There's plenty of content. If you missed anything, it's all on the homepage right now for you. So go check that out and hit that thumbs up, guys. We need 1,000 likes minimum today on OTS. So make sure you guys give that like button a nice John Moxley Bulldog choke. He's in action tonight against Takeshita. I can't wait to see that. That should be fantastic. Let's start off with the top, man. Io Shirai. Io Shirai. Apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, she's got one foot out the door. Good. Pretty much gone from WWE, says Dave Meltzer. Good. WWE doesn't deserve the likes and the greatness of Io Shirai. Io Shirai, apparently with all this rumor going around that she's got one foot out the door and wants to go back to Japan and wrestle and be closer to her family, has now taken to Twitter to apparently debunk these rumors. As you see there, all she says on social media with a nice little puke emoji. That's how I look like and how I feel like when I watch SmackDown on Friday night. She says, and I quote, rumors. Rumors, end quote. Io Shirai, a woman of many words, as you all can tell. Other reports previously noted that it is believed that Shirai wants to return, like I said, to Japan to be closer to her family. She hasn't wrestled since April's not TakeOver show. It was Stand and Deliver. TakeOver's dead and has been out of action ever since, recovering from what apparently was a foot injury. She's expected to return to the ring relatively soon, as is Zoe Stark, who hasn't wrestled herself since October 2021, and they were a tag team champions, to be exact. Tag team on NXT 2.0. You know, I find it very weird that WWE hasn't done anything with Io Shirai. No desire to bring her up to the main roster. This is somebody that I said last week when we talked about this should have been given a division to be the face of. But here we are still talking about Io Shirai in NXT 2.0. I don't get it. I don't get it. If she stays, she's dead. If she stays, she is not going to be someone that fits into the mold of the women's division in NXT. As you see what they're doing to it down there, it is not good at the moment. If she stays, when I say she's dead, is she'll probably end up like Asuka, and they'll probably have her dancing around like a fucking circus clown. I don't want that for her. Io Shirai should be multiple-time women's champion. We should have got classics with Becky and Bayley and Sasha and maybe Charlotte. Bianca, she should have been a champion multiple times over, face of a division, WrestleMania main events, but no. That's not going to happen because of her ethnic background. WWE doesn't like that. WWE doesn't appreciate that. WWE doesn't want that. You got to be amongst the elite. Io Shirai would not be amongst the elite on WWE's main roster. Now, she says rumors. Of course she would. You think Io Shirai is going to come out while under WWE contract and claim that she wants to go back to Japan and she wants to be closer to her family back in Japan? She's contracted to WWE. Of course, she's going to come out here and debunk the rumors. That is until she is officially released, and then everybody will be right. Meltzer will be right. I will be right. Everybody else that's talked about this and wants her to leave this fucking godforsaken dumpster fire known as NXT, everybody else will be right. She wants to go back to Stardom, apparently. Who's to say that AEW doesn't scoop Io Shirai up? Apparently, there was a discussion between AEW, Tony Khan, and Stardom for possible relationship. So if she wants to go to Stardom, she could find Stardom through AEW. I don't know. That could be something that definitely materializes in the weeks to come. But she says rumors. Of course she does. Of course she is going to debunk the rumors out there right now because she is still contracted under WWE. Liv Morgan. Let's talk about Liv Morgan, man. Apparently it was a slow news week. The top story for most of the week so far was Natalya breaking character on Liv Morgan at a house show. People really reaching for straws here in the community, desperate for news. But, what else would you expect from Wrestle Geeks, honestly? Liv Morgan. Apparently, Liv Morgan is getting huge reactions at WWE house shows now that she is the SmackDown Women's Champion. So July 2nd was a great night for Liv Morgan. She won the Money in the Bank, or July 3rd, rather. Won the Money in the Bank ladder match, won the Money in the Bank briefcase, beat Ronda Rousey by cashing in that Money in the Bank briefcase, and won the SmackDown Women's Championship. Career moment, lifetime moment for New Jersey's own Liv Morgan. Fan support obviously has only grown. It's gotten stronger. And per PW Insider, a WWE source who toured with SmackDown over the weekend, said that they never heard louder pops for Liv Morgan than what she received at this past weekend's WWE house shows. The source reportedly also noted that it was obvious from looking in the crowd that Liv Morgan merchandise was selling at high numbers during both Saturday's live event in Sacramento, California, and Sunday in Reno, Nevada. Morgan faced off against Ronda Rousey and Natalya in a triple threat match. Now, I want you guys to really focus in on what I said there. Liv Morgan merchandise seemingly is selling well, and there were a lot of Liv Morgan shirts and merchandise shown in the crowd at these house shows, okay, or whoever was there, the WWE source that reached out to Mike Johnson and PW Insider. So there were a lot of Liv Morgan shirts in the crowd on Saturday and Sunday night at these WWE house shows. Now, I don't really mention him here because he's got a bad stigma to him. He has broken a couple of stories in the past, and not somebody that I particularly care to mention on the show, but when he gets something right, I'm going to put it out there for you guys. He's gotten a lot of the Hall of Fame stuff right. He's gotten a lot of location, dates, and locations for WWE shows coming up correct. Clearly, he doesn't get any of the credit because they're always going to go to a major outlet. But Brad Shepard completely shut down this report. Shepard recently took to Twitter to contradict Mike Johnson's report and his sources on how well Liv Morgan's merchandise is moving. Shepard claimed that Morgan's merchandise wasn't even available at the weekend shows to begin with. Then he finished off by slamming Johnson for being a terrible journalist. He says, and I quote, Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that a source told him it was obvious looking into the crowd that Liv Morgan merchandise was selling in high numbers at the live events. It's not really what the report said. Well, not this one that I'm reading from. There was a lot of Liv Morgan merchandise in the crowd. There was nothing that I read here about Liv Morgan merchandise selling in high numbers at those house shows. So somewhere the translation between the reports seemingly got lost between Mike Johnson and what Brad Shepard is reporting here. Liv Morgan merchandise is selling in high numbers at live events. That's what Mike Johnson apparently said, and this is what Brad Shepard's reporting. I was told, he says, this is not accurate. The best part, her merchandise wasn't even available at the weekend shows in question, something Mike Johnson would know and check into if he were a real journalist, which, to be clear, he's not. End quote. Now, they can take it up amongst themselves. I don't really care who's a journalist and who's not a journalist. I don't really give a shit. But this is something to really keep an eye on. If Brad Shepard at all is right about this, then that doesn't really bode well for Liv Morgan's title run, because that is something that is a huge proponent as to what they look for in a superstar, especially if they're making you champion. They want a return on their investment. If Liv Morgan's merchandise is not selling, they will take that title off of her, and this reign will be incredibly brief. But Mike Johnson, the report from PW Insider said a WWE source who toured with SmackDown said that they never heard louder pops and that Liv Morgan merchandise was selling in high numbers. That's such a general statement. It doesn't say selling in high numbers at these house shows. They may be selling in high numbers because she won Money in the Bank, and what they see being bought online is bigger than anything Liv Morgan's done before in the past. There's a lost translation here between the reports. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, and I will notify you guys, and I will keep you guys up to date on anything that goes on with this, because if Liv Morgan is not really giving WWE their return on their investment, then it's going to bode terrible for her title reign on SmackDown, and it will go back to either Ronda Rousey or Charlotte Flair. Now, the story with Natalya, apparently she broke character with Liv Morgan in one of these triple threat matches that included Ronda Rousey. Morgan hit her finish on Natalya and got the pin. After the bell rang, Natalya got up, pointed at Morgan, said something, and immediately rolled out of the ring. Now, Natalya later addressed all of this in a now deleted tweet, of course, and she said in this deleted tweet, I'd show you, but I don't have it, I'm breaking character right now, but I actually told Liv, thank you, if you must know, end quote. Morgan said that there was, or Meltzer, not Morgan. Meltzer said that there was a legit issue during the match, but it had nothing to do with Liv Morgan, even though it looked like Natalya was pointing right at Morgan in a very angry way after the match. There was an issue, Meltzer said. It had nothing to do with Liv Morgan at all. Whatever it was, I don't know exactly what the situation was. I know there was a situation. So Meltzer doesn't know what the situation was, but he knows there was a situation. I don't know. Dave Meltzer. I know that it was cleared up immediately that night, and it's over and done with, and it did happen. She was mad about it, but nothing had to do with Liv Morgan or any heat with Liv Morgan. I would think that if you watch the clip that you saw on social media, that was the conclusion that you would come to, but it wasn't that. So that was the situation in Sacramento. I did see the clip, and it was a little unusual. She did just get up and leave. That's something that you wouldn't expect, but it happened. Slow news week, folks. Slow news week. People are digging for news when there really isn't much of anything. And when I usually don't find anything, you know what? I don't upload, and I just go about my day, and I enjoy the fucking time off. Seriously, this is news. This is news. Give me a fucking break. Natalya is one of the most professional, one of the most, I would say, likable superstars in all of WWE. Legendary status when everybody talks about Natalya and what she means to that fucking locker room and what she means to that division. Natalya, if you pissed off Natalya, then there's a fucking good reason that Natalya is fucking mad at you. But people are really digging, man. Whatever it is, it's not an issue anymore. Let's leave it at that. A learning lesson, maybe, for Liv Morgan. Sasha Banks. I got more Sasha Banks news, and it looks like with every week that goes by, Sasha Banks is finished with WWE. Sasha Banks is set to make her first public appearance, as she has been booked for C2E2 2022, which takes place from August 5th to August 7th at McCormick Place in Chicago. She will do an autograph signing for $70 and a photo op for $90. Banks is going by her real name, Mercedes Vernado, and is hyped as Sasha Banks and from The Mandalorian. Now, as you guys know, Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE during a Monday Night Raw several weeks ago due to creative differences back in May. WWE claimed in their statement that Banks and Naomi felt like they were not respected enough as champions and would later refer to them as unprofessional, which is now, looking back at it, a crock of shit. The latest indication is that Banks is not returning to WWE. A lot has gone on since May, and the latest is not only Sasha Banks booking her own appearances, but the latest petty maneuver by WWE is having Peacock remove her from the main screen app so that Sasha Banks is not a choosable avatar when you sign in to the Peacock app on your phone or smart TV. Roman Reigns and Asuka are now the only options. Good. Good. With every passing week, everybody, including Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc., who originally reported this story, is more and more on the right side of being correct. Good. And if I had the opportunity to meet Sasha Banks for $90, I would. And I'd go and shake her hand, and I'd be like, I'm very proud of you, and I can't wait to see what's next. Good. WWE will learn that they need Sasha, and Mercedes Varnado does not need WWE. Naomi. Everybody's talking about Sasha, but nobody's talking about Naomi. Naomi is once again taken to social media to tease her WWE departure. All this uncertainty regarding not only her status, but Sasha's status as well. Naomi and Sasha Banks, obviously, May 16th was the day that they walked out. Now, while the two have not been officially released, they are getting a little bit more antsy out there on social media. We got Sasha doing her own signings and booking her own signings and showing up, doing shit with Snoop Dogg and just living life. Meanwhile, WWE is taking a massive L. Naomi is breaking her silence a little bit more over the last couple of weeks. And with this tweet, Lindsay Dorado, man, let's get Lucha lit. Lindsay Dorado asked her when they'll be able to do Lucha things together. Naomi replied, ASAP, brother. Why would she say that if she's not planning to leave WWE? She ain't getting Lucha lit and doing Lucha things in WWE. She wants to go get Lucha lit with Lindsay Dorado. Good. Good. The more the weeks go by, little by little, we, the fan base, are getting crumbs. But those crumbs, man, are pretty fucking appetizing and they're mighty delicious, man. I can't wait for all of this to be officially confirmed. I know you guys are sick of hearing about Sasha Banks and Naomi, and I just want them to go somewhere where they will be respected. So they're breaking their silence a little bit more, and they're out doing their own thing, and it's even more of an indication that WWE is not bringing back Naomi and Sasha Banks. What happened to the Women's Tag Team Championships? Apparently, WWE has no plans at all. Good. Good. Burn them. Actually, give them to me. I'll burn them. I'll take great pleasure in burning them. No plans at all for the Women's Tag Team titles, and it's not looking good. WWE announced that when Sasha and Naomi walked out, they were both suspended, the titles were vacated, and Michael Cole, live on SmackDown, said there'd be a tournament for the Women's Tag Team Championships, and nothing has been said since. Nearly 2 months later, there's no indication, no announcement at all regarding the titles or this make-believe tournament. I don't know why they had Michael Cole mention a tournament. You need teams to have a tournament. How many teams do they got on the main roster? They got 0 teams. Can't have a tournament with 0 teams. Can't have a tournament without a division, Bruce. Fightful Select reported that talent that they have spoken to have received no word of when or if the tag team title tournament will actually happen. They also claim that they've heard no discussions regarding the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships since the announcement. This news follows Natalya feuding with Ronda Rousey over the SmackDown Women's Championship and Rhea Ripley splitting from Liv Morgan. Natalya was seemingly split from Shayna Baszler as well. They were a tag team. I think the only semblance of a tag team that we have is Doudrop and Nikki Trash. And that is the only team right now that is even remotely close to being a team in the WWE Women's Division. On NXT, they just last week, this is ridiculous. Last week they gave Roxanne Perez, if you guys watch NXT, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade the tag team titles. They got a win and won the titles over Toxic Attraction last week, only for this week, 1 week later, for Cora Jade to finally vanquish Gigi Dolan and JC Jane and win the tag team titles, finally win over Toxic Attraction. 1 week later, they had Cora Jade turn heel on Roxanne, claiming jealousy that Roxanne is the favorite amongst everybody and Cora Jade is second best and she doesn't want to be second best. Now, that's not the real confirmed reason as to why they broke up. I'm just spitballing, but they got no tag team division even in NXT, and they had a tag team. They had tag team titles on a team, and now seemingly those titles are now vacated. I don't know why we just don't burn both sets of titles, and if WWE wants to add more hardware to the women's division, why don't we get a singles championship to go along with the women's championships on Raw and SmackDown? One women's championship One secondary women's championship that goes across both brands. I don't get it. Women's tag team wrestling was doomed to fail from the moment these things were created. They can't even get their men's tag team division the right way. You're expecting them to go and do something right with the women's tag team titles? WWE needs a TBS-like title. Something that Jade Cargill currently holds is needed in WWE. It could be on the main roster, and then they could float just like the women's tag team championships do right now between Monday night and Friday night. That's what we need. And that's the right way to go about it. Women's tag team titles on the main roster, women's tag team titles in NXT. Get rid of them. They were never meant to last. And I feel like I'm the only one that's been on this boat claiming from day one, this is going to fail, this is going to fail, this is going to fail. And look at where we are right now. We have no tag team titles and no champions across the main roster and 2.0. Good job there, Bruce. Good job. And speaking of NXT, NXT's latest QR code has stumped fans. Now, if you guys watched 2 weeks ago, there was a QR code that mentioned something with the numbers 811 or 81011. It was maybe a Bible verse, maybe a possible look into the past, a possible date. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We got another QR code last night. If you guys watched 2.0 last night, if you blinked, you missed it. If you blinked, you missed it. Nothing else from WWE on what the QR code was all about. That was until a second one flashed up on the screen during this week's episode, as you guys see there. The new code doesn't just take you to the same page. It goes and takes you to a single web page, but this one includes nothing more than a failed WWE-themed Wordle, as opposed to a mysterious series of numbers that we saw 2 weeks ago. Now, the Wordle guesses on the failed puzzle are Quinn, Becky, Cruz, Trick, Brock, and Toxic. Obviously for Zion Quinn, obviously for Becky Lynch, Apollo Crews, Trick Williams, Brock Lesnar, and Toxic Attraction. 6 guesses, just like Wordle, all of them related to WWE superstars currently on the roster. While there doesn't appear to be a link between the 6, but WWE right now, I don't know where they're going with this. I looked at this for a couple of minutes, and I could not figure out what the fuck is going on. I've never played Wordle before in my entire life. There doesn't appear to be a link between these 6 superstars, but they do reveal that there is an O in the word, and someone has been trying to guess, and that the last of the 5 letters is C. So there's an O and a C. I've seen a lot of people claiming that it was Havoc for Halloween Havoc or Jessica Havoc from Impact Wrestling. It's not either one of those. Jessica Havoc, why would they go out and bring Jessica Havoc into NXT? I don't really understand a move like that being made. And secondly, everybody's claiming that it's Halloween Havoc. We're not even in the middle of the summer yet, and you're already asking for Halloween Havoc. It's not Halloween Havoc. Why would WWE be prepping you now for fucking Halloween Havoc at the end of October? Some people are absolutely mental, man. They should think before they type. So it begins the process of trying to guess what this QR code is. It presumably follows the rules of regular Wordle, which means all of the letters in gray can be ruled out. It may say the word Havoc or be the word Havoc, potentially, which could be connected to NXT's Halloween Havoc. I don't think that's it. I think people are really reaching with that one. That's a long way off, being that Halloween is on October 31st. And it's unclear how the event is connected to the QR code led from the show last week. Odds are the codes are teasing a returning or debuting superstar. I said maybe it is the return of Black and Gold. Maybe it is an event coming up. Maybe it has to do something with their next premium live event. I don't know. Maybe it's a super show between WWE and NXT, and they're doing some joint venture with WWE main roster guys versus NXT guys. I don't know. So if you figured this out, you let me know. If you've come to any conclusions, you let me know, because I'm very interested in what's going on here. But in typical WWE fashion, especially with NXT, the more people get interested in this and the more hype that it gets, you are only going to be let down severely, because at the end of the day, it's Bruce Pritchard, it's Vince McMahon, it's WWE. Guys, thank you so very much for all of your support. Hit that thumbs up down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. 1,000 likes, Hit that subscribe button down below. You all know the deal. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and now on Cameo. And I will be live from the OTS Beer Garden tonight. AEW Dynamite Fighter Fest Night 1 live right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.